Hey guys, this is Candle and welcome to 2018. It has been a long time coming and it's finally here, the new year. This video is actually a little bit later than I initially wanted, and there's a couple of reasons for that, which I'll get into in a minute. But the purpose of this video is twofold. It is to check in and see how well I did with my last set of goals and to show you guys my new ones. Now, for those of you who aren't already aware, I have been doing quarterly goals for the past year or so, and it's worked out all right. About every 3 months, I make a new list of goals and see how many I can get through and push forward. And it really does help to keep me focused on the things I want to get done and really help get them done. And yeah, it's been great doing it this last year. I'm going to keep doing it further. I'm actually taking it a step further again this year. However, before we do that, let's see how well we did with last year's goals, last year's quarterly goals. So first up, for the last 3 months, I've been working on this one specific thing, and it took me a hell of a lot longer to get it done than it should have. Hell, this goal has been on my list pretty much the entirety of the last year, and that is to complete the rough draft of Bloodless, which is the first book I've been working on. I've been working on this for over 5 years now. This specific draft I've been working on for over 2 years, and that is a hell of a long time to be working on a single draft of a book. However, it is done. It is complete. It is finite as of like 5 minutes ago from when I'm recording this video. Yeah, that's one of the big reasons why this video is a week later than I really wanted to. I gave myself a little bit extra time because I really wanted to get this goal done. And it took me forever, but it's finally done. Final word count as of right now is just shy of 123,000 words, which is like 25,000 words more than I really wanted. But hey, we'll figure that out in the next phase, which is editing. However, the next goal is to stick to my writing schedule, and I have not exactly done this completely. However, I've done it more often than not, and in my books, that's a win. I've been working on trying to improve my writing routine, make sure I'm working on my writing several times a week, and for at least a couple hours a day, and it's getting there. I haven't quite fully been able to stick to it. However, I would say I've done it more often than not, so I'm going to say that this is a win on that one. Next up was to continue brainstorming for Bloodbound, which is the follow-up to Bloodless, the book I just finished the rough draft of. And I did do some brainstorming, probably not enough, but I did some, so it counts. And up next was continue brainstorming for Haven, which is another big project I'm going to be working on afterwards. And I did that as well. All right. Next up was to outline Bloodbound. Again, I did not do this because I've been spending the entirety of the last 3 months finishing up the rough draft of my book. There's going to be a blog post this month. Finally, I'm doing another blog post, which is going to go into detail about what that process was like and why I feel it took me so damn long to write the rough draft of a book. Because this wasn't even the first draft. This was actually more like the 7th draft, but it's the first complete, finished, full draft of the book. That's why it's the rough draft. Next up as well was to outline Haven, which again, I didn't do this, unfortunately. As well as outline 5:48 a.m., which is another big project I'm going to be working on. I had hoped to have the rough draft of Bloodless done in time to do NaNoWriMo this year, and I didn't. So 5:48 a.m. was going to be my NaNoWriMo project. Again, I didn't have the rough draft done, so I did not do NaNoWriMo this year. After that was to investigate Scrivener, which is a writing tool, very useful for novel writing. I have not done this, however, so I really still need to do that. After that was to read Bloodless and look for issues, again, because I didn't finish the rough draft until just now. Not done. Same was creating a new outline for Bloodless, and also starting the second draft of Bloodless. Again, the rough draft wasn't done, so these goals were not done either. However, the next goal I did in fact do. That was to write 4 critiques a week. Now, this is for my writing group, and we did lose a few members, so over time I downgraded this from 4 a week to doing 2 to 3. And the reason I did that was because we started this writing group at like 11 members, and now there are only 7 of us. So 4 is technically possible on my end, but I feel doing 2 to 3 a week is much better to keep my life balanced, as well as it allows me to basically alternate which half of the group I'm doing a critique on. So everybody gets a critique from me every other week. So that's the way that works. Next up was to read 6 books for fun. I did not quite get this done. I finished 5. So I was one shy on that. However, the next goal after that was to read 3 craft books, and I did 1 of those. So in total, I read 6 books. But since one of them was to help improve my writing craft, can't really count that as for fun. So I failed on both of those goals. As well as the next one, which was to beat 15 games, I beat 9 in the last 3 months. And the reason why I have this specific one on here is because playing games is how I relax a lot of times. So I wanted to make sure I was setting aside time to just sit down and relax for a while. However, the last goal on the last quarter of goals was to get a brand new TV. Now, I was viewing this originally more as a reward for finishing the rough draft. However, I got this TV. Well, I got the TV, and I got it last week before I finished the rough draft. So all week long, it's kind of been a battle. Do I want to play around with my new TV, or do I want to finish the rough draft? And I've kind of had to view it as, you know what? With all the overtime you've been putting in at work, you deserve the new TV, so that's fine. You've already got it. However, you still have to earn it. So I finally earned my TV, so that's good. So anyways, that was all of my goals for Q4 2017. If you've been paying attention, I beat 6 out of 16 goals. That is less than 50%, which to me is a failing grade. I unfortunately did not win this last quarter because I didn't get around to beating all of my goals. Now, part of the reason, and again, part of the reason for why this video is later than I wanted it to be, is because I've been under a lot of stress at work. It's not a very stressful job to begin with. I mean, I work at a deli counter in a grocery store, but we are understaffed to the point where I am constantly getting overtime. And overtime every now and then is good. It's nice to have a little extra money every now and then. But when you're getting overtime like weeks and weeks and weeks in a row to the point where overtime pretty much is your new normal, then it becomes super stressful. You don't have any time at home to just sit down and relax and unwind, and it's very exhausting. So I'm very glad that that is pretty much nearly over. I mean, we're still understaffed, but we're at the point in the year where our sales dip a bit, so hours get cut. So I'm back down from being at overtime to being at normal hours. I'm working 40 hours this next week, so that's good. Hopefully it'll stay around there throughout the winter. So anyways, that was it for my writing goals for Q4 2017. Now it's time to talk about my writing goals for Q1 2018. This is what I'm going to be planning to do for the next 3 months. So pretty much up through March 31st, this is the stuff I want to have done. If I can get half of it done, awesome. That counts as a win. I'll have won the quarter. However, if I can get more than that, I will be ecstatic because doing more is awesome. It really is. And if I get less, well, then shame on me. I mean, I won't win the quarter. So anyways, first up on Q1 2018 is to outline Bloodbound. I just finished the rough draft for Bloodless, so now it's time to plan the sequel, trying to plan the follow-up. And I have some rough ideas in my head. I have some notes written down, so I'll go from there and figure out how to proceed. Next up after that is to outline Haven, which is my second major project. This is probably the one I'm really going to be working on until Bloodless is done. It's the one I'm going to be flipping between with Bloodless until one of them is done and being published. And the reason why I'm focusing more on a secondary project rather than the sequel is because, you know, it's kind of hard to write a sequel to a book that hasn't published yet. So I definitely want to have it planned out, maybe get a rough draft put together. But unless Bloodless sells, there's not really too much point in really working on Bloodbound to a huge extent. So after that, of course, is to also outline 5:48 a.m. So this is another major project. This one is a smaller one, though, because currently I'm planning it as a novella. Not necessarily a novelette, but more of a novella. So probably around 20 to 30,000 words. After that is to investigate Scrivener. I really need to look at this. I've heard wonderful things about it from my writing group, so I really, really need to look into this piece of software. So after all that's done, I definitely want to read Bloodless and look for any major issues. Thanks to my writing group and their stellar critiques of early chapters of my rough draft, I do know of some issues I need to go back and fix, but there's probably others, so I definitely need to go through with a very heavy critical eye and figure out what needs to be fixed before I'm ready to start querying for agents. After that is to create a new outline for Bloodless, and this goes back to one of the reasons why I feel like it took so long to write the rough draft for Bloodless is my outline was not nearly as detailed as it needed to be. So I really need to go back through and fix the outline, and hopefully with the experience I'll get from outlining the other 3 projects I'm working on, then I will be able to put together a really strong outline for this book. After that is to write 2 to 3 critiques a week for my writing group, so I'm keeping with this. Definitely want to write 2 to 3 critiques a week. And again, I'm doing 2 to 3 because that allows me to do half the group each week, as well as builds in some leeway in case somebody doesn't post a submission on a week, because that does occasionally happen. Sometimes you're working on stuff, it's just not quite ready, and so on, so you miss a week or 2 on submissions. After that is to keep to my writing schedule 80% of the time. So I'm still building in a little bit of leeway because I know shit happens and I can't always stick to it 100%, but I definitely want to stick to it at least 80% of the time. So definitely be working on that as well. After that, it's beat 8 games. I'm downgrading this from 15 because, again, I didn't have the time I needed to beat 15 games last time around, so hopefully 8 will be a little bit easier this time. And the same with reading books for fun. I'm reading 3 books for fun over the next 3 months, which is about a book a month, and I have this big stack of books I got over Christmas that I'm really looking forward to reading. I just cracked into one of them, and it's a big one. It's a really hefty book. It's about 1,200 pages, maybe about 1,250. I'm not quite sure, but it's a pretty damn big book, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. So after that is to read at least 1 craft book, which I've already picked out, already gotten started, and everything. This one was another one I actually got for Christmas, so it's awesome on that front as well. And the final goal for Q1 2018 is to be more active on social media. I've kind of put social media by the wayside for the most part. I don't really go on Facebook other than to check my news feed. I don't go on Twitter all that much other than to check my feed. I don't post much on YouTube anymore. I don't post many blogs. And I'm a lurker on both Reddit and Imgur, and I really want to change that around. I really need to start establishing much more of a social media presence, especially as I want to build my author platform once I start querying for agents and so on. So that is my goals for Q1 2018, the stuff I want to achieve on the next 3 months. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed making it. So if you like what you see, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.